Hey guys, so just doing a video on home loans, which is the next section of your investments and loans topic. So home is likely to be the biggest purchase of your life, okay, and lenders have a special category of loans for these. So we've been talking about reducing balance. In your book they talk about personal loans, that's for smaller amounts, but lenders and banks, that sort of thing, they have a special class which they're known as mortgage loans for buying property. The term mortgage actually refers to the agreement when you do one of these things. When you take out this loan, there's an agreement between you and the lending institution where if you can't make the regular repayments to pay them back for the money they loaned out to you, they will sell your house. Okay. Mortgages are usually large sums of money, over 100,000, and therefore repaid over many years. While all loans, all the loans that we're talking about, we've been assuming the I just stays the same. We haven't changed it. That is known as a fixed interest rate. Okay, all loans can have a fixed interest rate, but they can also have a variable interest rate. And because home loans happen over such long periods of time, it's really important to consider variable interest rates when you're doing home loans, because the interest rates are likely to change over that time. So with home loan questions, the maths is all going to be the same. There's an ordinary reducing balance loan. Okay, all you have to really do is look out for if the home loan stays at a fixed rate of interest or if it's a variable rate. If it's a fixed rate of interest, you don't need to worry about anything. You just treat it like a normal reducing balance loan. I% is I%. Okay, it stays like that in TVM Solver. However, if the home loan has a variable rate, or if the question talks about the rate changing at some point, that means I% changes at some point. So all that does is means that you need to break up the loan into different sections that have the different interest rates. Okay, and so how you do this, the key is when a loan is broken up into different pieces, you use FV, and remember how normally we've said FV goes to 0, because when you're doing a loan you want to pay it back until you don't owe anything. Now you're going to be using FV when you're breaking up a home loan into certain sections. FV tells you what is owed to the bank or whatever institution it is at a particular point in time. So let's say the interest rate changed 5 years into the loan. Well, you're going to do a TVM solver at 5% for N being 5 years, and if you solve for FV, that's going to tell you how much you owe still to the bank at the point where the interest rate is going to change at 5 years in. And then you can do another TVM solver where you're paying off the remainder, the FV that you just worked out, at the different interest rates. So we'll go through an example of that anyway. It's probably confusing you right now. Let's do a normal home loan. It's just a fixed interest rate of 8.5% per annum. And we're working out what the monthly repayments are going to be. So A, that's a TVM solver. Bit. And it's saying, well, let's put the TVM solver variables in here. PMT, FV, PY, CY. Alright. So taking out a home loan for 120,000. So what is the bank giving you? What are they lending out to you? What are you borrowing out? 120,000. We're trying to work out what the monthly repayments are, so that's going to be like that. Interest is charged monthly, and you're doing monthly repayments, so these are both going to be 12. Right now, it's not saying there's any variable interest rate or anything like that, so you're assuming FV is going to be 0. The interest rate is 8.5% per annum. Then we need to work out what N is. Well, 25 years. 25 times by making 12 payments per year. 25 times by 12, 300. Put that in 8.5. I've already put in 120,000, and then 12 and 12. So if I solve for PMT, my payments are going to be negative 966.27. So $966.27 monthly repayments. How much interest is paid? Well, we've shown you this formula already. I is PMT times by N minus the amount borrowed, the principal, 966 times by 966.27 times by 300 payments. Take away what we borrowed, 120,000. So if I grab the calculator, 966.27 times by 300 minus 120,000. That's going to be 169,881 interest paid. And then lastly, C, what have we assumed? Well, in the notes, what I discussed is what you need to just keep in mind. And if you're asked if you're assuming anything, what are you assuming in this home loan? You're always going to be assuming that the $966.27 payments are kept up. They keep making them. And the other thing you're assuming is it's a fixed interest rate. Rate is fixed at 8.5% per annum, because none of this would be true if it changed at all. Okay, now let's say what if 8.5% per annum was only fixed for 3 years? Alright, so this is a more realistic scenario actually, because most of the time home loans are variable, okay? You can only fix them for a short time. When you start doing research for your DI, your home loan DI, you'll find that a lot of interest rates are not fixed. You can only fix them for a couple of years, maybe one, maybe two. Okay, so let's do this scenario where it's only fixed for 3 years and goes up to 9.5% per annum for the rest of the loan. What are the repayments going to be in this situation? Well, to do that, we're just doing the what was spoken about up here. You're going to be breaking the loan up into the different sections that have different interest rates, and you already have half the information up here. You already have the information for the 8.5% per annum section. You're just trying to work out how much is owed after 3 years, so you can do the 9.5% per annum section of the loan. So in the 8.5% per annum part of the loan section, you're now trying to work out how much is going to be owed after 3 years with this arrangement of the 8.5% per annum with the same repayments as before. So N is going to be, well, you're making 12 repayments per year for 3 years, so it's going to be 12 times by 3, it's going to be 36. Okay. I, well, it was fixed at 8.5% per annum for that first 3 years. You were trying to pay off a $120,000 loan. Your payments were calculated before. Your repayments were negative $966.27, negative $966.27. You were paying it off until you didn't owe anything, so FV was going to be 0, and PY was 12, and CY was 12. But remember, you are breaking up this home loan into the first 3 years so that you know how much is owed after the 3 years, so you can then work out the remainder of the loan at 9.5% per annum. So you're actually solving for FV this time, because see how N has changed to 36. So if I put in N is 36 to that, and I solve for FV, FV after 3 years, instead of for the whole duration of the loan, after 3 years, FV is 115,251.12, the 2 decimal places. That means after 3 years at 8.5% per annum fixed, $115,251.12 is still owed. And now that lets us work out the remaining situation. Now this is for the higher interest rate that happens after the 3rd year, the 9.5% section. Well, now we're basically going to do a home loan that is paying off the remaining amount of money at this new interest rate. So we've already done 3 years for the N. So what's remaining of the 25 years? Well, it's going to be 22 years, and you're making 12 payments a year. So it's going to be 22 times by 12, 264 this time for the remainder of the loan. The new interest rate is 9.5. We now owe $115,251.12. So PV for this remaining section of the home loan is $115,251.12. We want to know what the repayments are going to be for this remaining section of the loan. We're trying to pay off this loan at the 9.5%, so FV is going to be 0. We're still paying once a month, and it's still compounding once a month. So if you put these numbers into TVM Solver, and I solve for PMT, you'll notice that the repayments get significantly higher. Why is that? Well, you were fixed at an 8.5% interest rate for the first 3 years of the home loan. Now we noticed in the question that the interest rate changed. So we broke up the home loan into the first 3 years where it was fixed at 8.5%, and we calculated how much was owed at that point in time. Alright, we then used what was owed at that point in time after 3 years as what is owed for the remainder of the loan, but at this higher interest rate. And you'll notice that this N is for the remaining 22 years of the home loan. And once you work it out, you'll see that, yes, the interest rate has increased. Yeah, even though I owe a bit less than it was before, to make the repayments in this home loan, the payments have to be a bit higher. So that is an example. That's probably one of the more complicated calculations you'll have to do for home loans. That's an example of breaking up a home loan when there's a change in the interest rate. So hopefully that helps, and I'll see you on the next video.